Well, I'm Mrs. Royce.
Sorry.
Yeah, I guess.
Screw off, shithead!
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
This isn't fair! He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodie car!
Welcome to the Kill Tally, where we count all the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm Tyler D. Boucher, and today we're looking at 1983's Psycho 2.
Psycho 2 follows Norman Bates after he gets out of the mental hospital and is still tormented by his mother, or people trying to make him think he is crazy.
But can Norman Bates contain his mother for this film? Let's find out and get to the kills.
The movie begins at the Bates Motel, where we see Marion getting into the shower.
Oh shoot, did I put in the wrong movie? Nope, I guess we're just starting with a flashback. Cool, nothing better than the original Psycho.
So long story short, Marion gets killed, and then we pan over to the house, where we see it turn to color instead of black and white. The opening credits inform us of Anthony Perkins and Vera Miles' return, of Norman Bates and Lila Crane. Then we are at the hearing of Norman Bates, where we get information that he has been set free from the mental hospital. But something tells me most people don't like that idea. Then sooner or later, Norman is pulling up to his house, where we see the backdrop that looks like it was stolen from The Wizard of Oz. Back at home, Norman has a vision of his mother, then kicks a suitcase down the stairs.
Jeez, the Psycho movies hate stairs. They must be evil.
After that incident, Norman goes to the diner, his new job, and meets Miss Spool, who gets him an apron. After a long day at work, Norman talks to one of his co-workers, Mary, that needs a place to stay. Norman offers her a motel room, and then they're off, starting fights with the new motel owner, who's a real jerk and a pervert. After Mary spends the night at the house, we head back to the diner, where Norman's new motel manager comes in, angry about being fired, and requesting service from Mary. Then, after the spinning of the magic order wheel, Norman finds a note from his mother.
Cut it out, Toomey!
Oh Norman, no need to freak out. She's probably just telling you how proud she is of you working so hard.
Now it's nighttime at the Bates Manor, and Mary comes knocking at the back door, where she comes in telling Norman she is going to take a shower and go to bed. Then Mary heads up to the mystical shower, where you head into it and the water is already running, then you have to turn another handle to get the shower to start.
Even though it was already on.
Anyways, as the camera pans over, we see an eye looking at Mary taking a shower.
Then we get the worst part of the movie, the nudity. I mean, it is so random and stupid. You just add nudity for no reason. I really feel that Alfred Hitchcock is mad at this movie, because you could tell he spent a lot of time in the original film not to have any nudity in it.
Then after that, we see Norman just looking at himself in a mirror, as if he is a baby not knowing what a reflection is. And then we hear Mr. Toomey's car horn as he signals him going into the motel office to get his belongings. Then Norman gets a call from Mother, probably just telling Norman that Mr. Toomey won't bother him any longer. Then we get our first kill of the movie, Mr. Toomey, 40 minutes in. Thank God, that guy sucked. And the movie just fades to black as if we're supposed to get a commercial or something. Later, Norman's therapist, Dr. Raymond, comes over telling Norman that he heard that he ended up quitting at the diner. Norman just decided to follow his dreams of running a motel.
Stop jumping to conclusions!
Anyways, Norman rats on Mr. Toomey, saying that he thinks he's running an adult motel.
Oh, you mean the motels where the adults pay instead of the kids?
Then we head over to Mary putting on makeup. While she is doing that, we see a little shimmer come from beyond the wall. And as she looks into the tiny hole, she sees Mother's room. Anyways, Mary heads to work and Norman continues painting. Then we see the curtains move as if Mother is watching him. Then he heads up to Mother's room to see it's all made up. And look, there's a note for him. Then for some reason, Norman gets trapped in the attic, as we see some kids sneak into the basement, where we see Mother's old rocker. Then one of the kids looks out the door of the fruit cellar to see a mysterious shape outside. Then it comes inside, ready to kill, as the strange kids try to escape out the window, while fruit jars fall to the ground. After that kill, Norman gets out of the attic and answers the door to the police, telling him about the frightened girl. After that confrontation with the sheriff, we follow him back to the office where Lila is waiting to talk to him about Norman. But we also get information about how she married Sam Loomis from the first one, and he is now dead.
I was just thinking about you and Sam. How is he?
My husband is dead.
Even though we all know he died in 2018, one day before my birthday.
Then as Lila leaves, she gives order to the sheriff, telling him to drain the swamp.
Well, then I
suggest you start before there are more murders.
Then Mary goes down into the office looking for some liquor. Then her mother shows up, asking why she stood up for Norman. Then we get information that Lila and Mary have been planning this event out the whole time. They took turns looking at Norman from the window and writing him notes. Then Norman heads up to the loo, where the toilet starts making weird noises, then overflows with blood, as well as the shower. Then Mary takes over cleaning up, and then we see another eye watching her. Then with the gun, she heads into Mother's room, searching for the stalker, but only finding the hole that sees into a restroom, and a woman staring back at her. They go searching the house, but all that ends up happening is they get a sleepover together. Norman and Mary's slumber party! By no time it's morning, and Dr. Raymond is there to tell Norman about what he knows is happening, and tells Norman that Mary and Lila are fooling him. Then we go to Mary telling, or should I say yelling at her mother to stop bothering Norman. But as she walks away from her, Lila hisses.
He's about to go over the edge, isn't he?
The phone rings at Norman's house as he gets it, and he believes it's Lila on the other end, but it's not. Mother is back. After the phone call, Norman tells Mary that it isn't Miss Bates who is telling him this. It's his real mother. Now the police are at Norman's door asking him to head over to the swamp. They ask Norman if he recognizes a suitcase, and then he realizes it's Mr. Toomey's. They also find a car. Back at the house, Lila is sneaking her way up the stairs and into the basement, but Dr. Raymond is on her tail, making sure she doesn't hurt Norman anymore. To drive Norman over the edge once and for all, she pulls up a tile in the basement to get the old wig to dress as his mother. She fails to notice the woman already dressed as Miss Bates behind her with a knife. And with one final scream, a knife goes into her throat, killing the beloved Lila Crane for good. Later, the police got the car out of the swamp and decide to open the trunk, where they find Mr. Toomey's body in the back of the car. Back at home, Norman gets a phone call from Dr. Raymond, but we finally see Norman's true craziness when he mistakes him as mother.
Lila Loomis has used this phone to call your house.
Yes, I understand. Mother?
Norman, this is Dr. Raymond.
After he hangs up, he still has a conversation with Mother. During that conversation, the mother tells Norman to kill Mary. So Mary goes down into the basement to dress up as Mother and trick him. But we slowly pan up to see Lila Loomis's head hidden in a pile of coal. Now Mary is fully dressed up, trying to trick Norman by going up the stairs and going on the other line of the phone and tell him to get off. But Dr. Raymond comes from the secret stairs and attacks Mary, trying to stop her from hurting Norman. But as he says, "Gotcha!" he gets stabbed by Mary in self-defense and falls off the stairs.
I'm telling you, they really don't like stairs.
With that, we get another kill, not by Norman or Miss Bates. Norman comes from the living room to see that Dr. Raymond is dead, and like a good son, he says he will help Mary cover up the body. But Mary just can't put the knife down, and she thinks he is getting a little too close. So she stabs him in his hands, and it sounds like air coming out each time. Then the situation becomes so intense, Norman actually grabs onto the blade of the knife and tries to pull it away from Mary. And with a few more stabs, Mary is in the basement where she sees Mother's body and decides to kill Norman helpless on the ground. But the police come just in time to stop her, and they shoot at Mary, killing her. The movie continues on, just like how the first one ended, with Norman at the police station getting bandaged up and getting released back at home after some paperwork. After Norman shovels some coal into the furnace, he brings the shovel upstairs so he can eat dinner. While Norman's eating dinner, which is almost always sandwiches and milk, we see Mother finally coming to the house. But it's actually not Mother, it's Miss Spool.
You know, the lady that worked in the diner that was in 2 scenes of the movie?
Anyways, Norman sits her down and offers her some tea. Then we get some backstory. We find Miss Spool is actually Norman's real mother, claiming that she had him very young and she gave Norman to her sister, Norma Bates.
Like mother, sister, like son.
Miss Spool also mentions how she is committed in a sanitarium.
Like mother, like son.
Then Miss Spool drinks Norman's special tea. She starts feeling sick, just as Norman raises the shovel and swings it down on Mother, killing her after she shakes for a while. The movie ends with Norman carrying Mother's body upstairs into her room, and Mother telling Norman to go open the motel, and ending with a masterful shot of Mother looking out the window and Norman standing next to the house as the clouds roll in.
So how many kills does the Psycho sequel rack up? Here, I'll show you at the numbers. Six people died in Psycho 2, 3 men and 3 women, as even as can be. With a runtime of 1 hour and 52 minutes, that comes out to a kill on average every 18.66 minutes.
I'll give Brightest Butcher Knife Award for coolest kill to Lila Loomis. It was so gory and extreme. I mean, how many times can you say that you saw someone die by a knife through the throat? And it just feels right to keep the award going to the family. Slippery Ice Pick for lamest kill will go to Mary Loomis, as she got shot one time and that put her down. So boring.
And that's it. Psycho 2 came out in theaters in 1983, and it made $34 million in box office. Next week, we'll look at the not-so-good Psycho sequel, Psycho 3, directed by Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates. Until then, be great people. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. For all you people who have watched Psycho 2, how many of you liked the movie? For me, it kind of differs back and forth whether I like it or not, but for now, I don't really care for it. Again, I'd like to point out a thing in my prop section. This is a Beady Baby ghost that I got on Friday the 13th in an antique shop. You can see it in a video that's called Playing with a Ouija Board on Friday the 13th. Stay tuned for that.